Paranormal Buzz Radio is proud to present Good Luck Sleeping with your favorite spooky sisters, Rachel and Kayla.
The views and opinions expressed in our podcast by us or our guests do not necessarily reflect the views of Paranormal Buzz Radio or its sponsors.
Use of any material by Paranormal Buzz Radio or Good Luck Sleeping without expressed written consent is strictly prohibited.
For information on everything Paranormal Buzz Radio has to offer, visit their website at paranormalbuzzradio.com, like them on Facebook, and follow them on Twitter and Instagram.
Due to the nature of the content we discuss, listener discretion is advised and not recommended for those under 18.
Hello, spooky soulmates. We're so glad that you're joining us again on season 2, episode 2. Whoop, whoop. Oh my goodness, we have 2 seasons.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
We're finally back.
Yes, we are. And I won't sing Eminem.
Yeah, you guys get to hear that in the last episode.
We were like, how do we start? How do we tell everybody we're back? How do we
And Rachel decided singing. very badly was the way to go.
Sorry.
I'm speaking for myself too. They were terrible.
Hey, Kayla.
What?
How do monsters tell their future?
How do monsters tell their future?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
They read their horoscope. That was a really good one.
That one hurt my soul.
That was a good one.
No, it wasn't.
So since recording, I have really upped my dad joke game. I think Kayla would agree. And I might just throw some more in there, here and there.
You have one that's my favorite, and that's the only.
Hey, Kayla, where do mansplainers get their water?
I don't know, Rachel. Where?
From a well, actually.
I told Joe that one because I was
'Cause it was
actually
great?
I was really impressed with it. That's the only one that I like, but
Okay. Well, did he laugh?
yeah, a little bit.
Good. Well, before we start, do you want to hop into where people can find us?
Yes. So we're just getting back. We are kind of rejuvenating things from our Facebook to our Instagram and our Twitter and all that's in between. In our Facebook group, the Good Luck Sleeping podcast group, highly recommend you join us over there. We have polls, discussions. We talk about the episodes, and we even have, if there's evidence for an episode, that's where you'll find it. Instagram is Good Luck Sleeping Podcast, and we are revamping that entirely, so that's going to be really cool. I don't know what we'll have on there, but it's going to be fun. So follow us over there as well.
It'll be aesthetically pleasing. That's
Yes.
all we know.
That's what we've learned. You need to be aesthetically pleasing on Instagram, so it's going to look real cute. Twitter is at GL Sleeping, and follow us over there if you want to chit chat a little bit. And then we're going to be launching a TikTok. So once we know the handle to that, I'll let you know. But there will be spooky content coming over there as well.
Well, spooky and maybe fun and funny.
Yes, of course.
Maybe I'll tell some dad jokes on there.
Oh, God.
Oh my God, what a great idea.
Can you just imagine both of us being in control of a TikTok account? No. Totally different.
It'll be some 180s.
Yes. And also, we are staying with the Paranormal Buzz Radio Network. So hello to all of those people over there. We haven't met you yet. We haven't made your acquaintance, but I know that you've listened to our first season. So thank you for that. The show is hosted on Spreaker.com/show/good-luck-sleeping, but that's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful.
So we're just going to say, look for Good Luck Sleeping wherever you listen to your podcast. We should be on Apple, Spotify, the whole shebang.
So what does your week looked like?
Same as the last episode, right?
We didn't do specific weeks. We just did life updates. What have you been up to lately?
I'm going to tell them about whatever's in my house.
Okay. So, what's been going on here? You've given us some tidbits here and there, and we have like a little girl chat group, like a friend chat group that we constantly talk in, and she said some things are happening.
Yes. So Rachel and my favorite pastime of late has been to explore cemeteries and other haunted locales.
Graveyarding.
Yes. And usually it's really peaceful, but we had an experience which we're going to share in just a moment with you at a place called Hell's Church.
Which
recently.
we talked about in one of our first episodes in season 1.
Yeah. And I think we felt bad because it's still an actual church.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to like give it a bad rep, but then we went out there and had experiences. So we're just going to talk about those. But since that happened, I came home and it felt okay in the house. Like it is what it is.
Your house is a little spooky to me.
Yeah, you feel it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I am what I think is clairsentient. So I can like feel presences and feel kind of like what their intentions are and everything. And this end of the house has always felt just dark to me. Like the living room and stuff is fine, but our bedroom and in here, down here in the podcasting area is darker. And so my husband said that he had felt a presence back in September and he just like anointed the upstairs.
And didn't tell you.
And didn't tell me for these whole months. So that probably means it's down here with us. But the other day, so we have 2 standing fans in our room because it gets really hot in there at night.
You guys have 2 fans on you guys?
So one blows on him, one blows on me because we don't have a ceiling fan. This is an older house.
Okay.
It's from the 1970s. So you okay?
Uh-huh.
I can see there's nothing behind you. You're safe.
I don't like my back not against a wall now that we're talking about
know,
this.
I
Okay,
know.
keep going.
I could probably. That's why I put a thing over this so you wouldn't see just a dark window there.
Oh, are there no curtains there? Or I mean, like
This
blinds?
is my curtain. No, there's no blinds.
Oh, got it.
I gotta get blinds. Okay. So anyway, my routine every day is I wake up, I turn off the fans, I go get Oliver out of bed, take him to the living room, and get breakfast. So I had done all of that. I came back to get my glasses, I think it was. I'd left them on my nightstand, and my fan was pulled taut. So the cord is plugged in behind the TV, which is across from our bed, and it was pulled all the way into the doorway. So it was blocking it. There's no way anybody could go in or out of the doorway. And the cord was as tight as it could be.
So there's no way it like caught on you as you're walking out the door and pulled tight that way? Or
so it's very wobbly. If anybody, like if the cats had pushed it or it had caught on my arm, it would have just fallen over.
Okay.
So it had to have been pushed from the base very slowly to keep from falling over. And it was pulled as far as it could go, completely blocking the doorway. I could not have gotten out of the room if I had done it.
Okay.
So that happened.
Yes.
Freaked me out a little bit. And then recently it's just felt really heavy. And it doesn't feel like there's a specific thing. It just feels like there's kind of a cloud in the back part of the house. Okay.
That's how, I'm not going to say where we live, North Georgia, but the farther you go west, northwest.
Yeah.
It feels like it gets darker and darker that way for a long while. So
yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
And like when I'm in my room, I don't necessarily feel that freaked out. My closet doesn't make me feel great. So I usually shut the door, but it's not like it was when we summoned Zozo. It's not that bad. So then the other day I was down here and I was kind of setting up the podcast area, and it just felt like something was down here watching me. And like I started to go up the steps, and it's like one of those things where you feel like it's right on your back.
So then you run.
And you're running up the steps and you're like, and then you look behind you and there's nothing there, So that happened. And then there is a toy in Oliver's room. It's like a little table and it's got things on top of it that kind of like make noises and sing and all this stuff. We usually turn it off because that son of a gun goes off all the time when there's nobody around. And it's been doing it more and more and more.
They're not motion activated. They're just,
no.
Are they like
touch it?
Okay.
And it'll play a song and then it'll stop unless you hit another button. Well, recently it's been playing the song and then you'll hear chicka chicka chicka. It's like pushing buttons and then it starts more songs. And sometimes it'll go on for like a minute. Sometimes it's just a couple of seconds. And I've thought, okay, maybe it's my cat in there. So today I was like, honey, can you check Oliver's room? And he goes in, there's nothing in there.
Okay.
Nothing was touching it.
Is Oliver especially attached to these toys?
No.
then it's time for those to go. We're all done
Well,
with
the
those.
thing is, it doesn't really matter what it is because it's been multiple objects in his room that have gone off. And see, Oliver, he's a year and a half old and he keeps waking up throughout the night. And part of me is like, is he seeing stuff? Is something like poking him? Like, I don't know because he's a year and a half.
Right, and he can't say.
Yeah. So it's like freaking me out.
Yeah.
And then after the Hell's Church incident, I had a bad dream that you killed yourself.
Yeah, she texted me the morning after that dream, apparently. And she's like, you know, if anything's ever going on, don't hesitate to reach out. Like, very heartfelt. And I was like, dude, I'm good.
Yeah, I was
Fine,
freaking
man.
out. And then the dream took a weird true crime twist. And I was like, maybe her husband murdered her.
I told Ryan
You
about
did?
that. Yeah. I go, Caitlin, or Kayla. Whoa, your name's Kayla. Had a dream that I killed myself, but then she thought that maybe you had killed me. And he's like, huh, interesting.
Of course.
Interesting.
But yeah. So maybe
I
we should
would.
tell them about the Hell's Church experience then.
Okay, so do you want to hit the table a few more times before we start? Okay, did you get it out of your system?
Very ominous. God. Okay.
So we like to visit graveyards. That's just our thing that we do when we all hang out.
Yeah.
It started when we were hanging out one night and we didn't feel like ending the hangout time yet. So
Yeah.
we're like, let's go find cemeteries.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of a thing. So
Well, in the first cemetery we walked through, we thought we saw something, and
I did not think I saw anything.
Well, the statue was creepy. There was an angel statue. It was really creepy, and we were running from it, and our other friend Elisa tripped and fell because that's her favorite thing to do.
I did not run from it. I ran to it.
Okay, well, we've talked about how you get us into trouble and I get us out. But
Yes. She
what-
twisted her ankle.
what happened after all of that? So she was Elisa was lagging behind us a little bit because, like we said, she fell into a hole and twisted her ankle. And we were like just looking at the headstones, reading the names. And apparently 4 times she told us, guys, there's somebody over there. And we just were oblivious.
I don't remember her saying anything.
I don't either. But she said that she told us like 4 or 5 times and then just quit. And when she looked back, it was gone. So we were just kind of walking around and she brought it up again. And we're like, wait, you saw somebody? There was nobody. It was like 11:30 at night.
Yeah.
Nobody in the cemetery. And you could basically stand in one spot and see the entire cemetery. It
Yeah,
was
it
next
wasn't
to
huge.
a parking garage. It was lit up for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Not that spooky. It was actually really peaceful. I had a lot of fun. But it followed her home. And that night she kept talking about how she thought his name was B.
Yeah.
That was what she thought. So she has a history of ghosts in her home. I've actually helped her clear it before.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a liking to her daughter, Naomi.
Well, her room specifically.
Yeah, her room specifically. And we had to work really hard to get whatever it was out of there. So anyway, one night she's rocking Naomi, and Naomi sits up and goes, "Hi, B." And Elisa was like, "Excuse me?" So anyway, fast forward a little bit, and they're sitting on the couch, and Naomi's playing, and she just squeals and runs to her mom like she was freaked out. And all of a sudden, 2 cabinet doors on the opposite ends of the kitchen fly open, and a glass dish flies out of one of them and shatters. So that's been going on. I've had things going on in my home.
Yeah, I've been golden.
And we decided it's a great idea to go to Hell's Church together. So, Rachel, you've been there like 4 or 5 times?
Yeah, I think this was my 3rd or 4th time going, and nothing has really happened there. I don't feel like it's particularly, I don't know, ominous when I've gone in the past. It's just a really weird location because it's seriously in the middle of nowhere. Like, nothing around.
And things have occurred over the past couple of decades there. In the 80s, there was supposedly a boy that was mutilated inside the church.
Mm-hmm.
There was also, I guess when there was rumor of things being haunted, satanic cults were attracted to the area, and there were sacrifices done in one part of the woods down by the baptismal pool. There were sacrifices done. So
A tree where they would hang animals from it, and I mean,
it's
what's
typical for haunted places. People go there and do that kind of stuff.
What's sad for me, though, is it's a cemetery for generations of families, you know?
Yeah.
So there are people that are still being buried there to this
they have
day.
pictures.
Yeah, they have this cemetery in particular has a lot of photo headstones.
Yeah, it's weird. I've never seen it before.
Yeah. So you can kind of see
Who's dead.
below.
Which I guess is sentimental if you're a family member, but it's a little creepy
if you're not.
If you're not, yeah. So we went there, and it wasn't dark yet, and we were just walking around the gravestones like we do, just looking at everything, and it didn't really feel particularly anything, like not dark or heavy or anything like that. And as the sun started to set, we went over to the church.
Well, you guys had some information from friends that had investigated it prior.
Yes.
Like they knew this happened here and this happened there. Like you had specifics.
Yeah. So apparently if you walk to the right side of the church, sometimes you can hear piano music playing even though nobody's there. So we did that. We walked around to the right side. And then at the back, there's like this pavilion. It's like an open pavilion thing, probably for like
Sacrifices
potlucks. And
yeah. Okay. No. Potlucks or something.
Not sacrifices, yeah. Rachel.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Sure.
It looked like it could be. But we were just having fun exploring, kind of freaking ourselves out and everything. And below the pavilion, kind of down a hill, there was a very, very dark spot of the woods. And I was like, that's exactly where we don't need to go. And then Rachel
was like, that's where we do need to go.
Rachel goes,
fireflies.
There's fireflies in there. And I'm like, it's early May. There shouldn't be fireflies out yet. They usually come out when it's hot, humid, and sticky. And so she's like, oh, they're fireflies. Let me show you. And she just barrels down this hill into the darkest part of the woods. So she's going, I'm like running down the hill after her, like, gotta save her life. I'm finally like, I see the damn fireflies. Come back up here.
Thank you.
So all three of us, we kind of get back up the hill and we're walking back toward the cemetery. And it just felt like something behind us was watching. I felt watched. I felt like something was close. It was weird. So I was kind of like, okay, let's get back out to the road, you know. And right about the time we had been in talks with this couple that has been there and done paranormal investigations. They're real familiar with it. And they were telling us about the baptismal pool. They were like, did you go down to it? And we're like, pool? You know, we didn't see anything. So they told us it was at the end.
Which I still don't understand. Like, why? Every church that I've been to, when they've done baptisms, it's been inside. Is it like a thing?
Yes. Okay. So back in the day, especially in Georgia, they would do the pools out in the woods and everybody would trek down to the baptismal pool and you'd go in, do your baptisms and come up. It was like a thing.
Is it just like a tub down there?
It's like a big square tub. Yes.
Okay.
I don't know. I think it was because maybe they didn't have the plumbing back in the day to do it inside the churches. I'm not really sure. Okay. But so we drove down past the cemetery and there was like this gate that would keep you from going into this actual clearing, but you could see the whole clearing. And you have to understand something about Elisa. Elisa is a chicken. She is not somebody that enjoys this kind of stuff, really. She gets easily spooked. So the whole night she's kind of like, I'm not going there. I'm not doing this. And she was driving the car. So we're in our car. We drive up to this gate and she goes, I need to go in there. And like her whole demeanor had changed. It was night and day. And I don't know if you could see the change because you were in the back seat.
No. And I was like, yeah, let's go. Like, I'm game.
And I'm just sitting there, like everything in my body. Like I said, I'm clairsentient. And I just knew something bad was going to happen if we walked into that clearing. So I was like, no, we are not going in there. She's like, I need to go in there. And like, it was the most calm, just like authoritative, I need to go in there. And I freaked out. I was like, drive right now, turn around. We're leaving. She's like, I can't leave. And I'm like, what do you mean you can't leave? And she was saying like her body was tingling. She felt like she had to get out. Like there was nothing that she could do to get out of, like, to back up the car and just leave. And I told her, I was like, we have to leave now. Something bad's going to happen. I started trying to rationalize. I'm like, what could possibly be good from going into that clearing? What in the world could possibly be good? And she was like, well, nothing. And I'm like, okay, then leave. So finally Rachel was like, let's leave, Elisa, you know. So she backs up, turns around. We drive off and she was like, I need to go back there. And she's like feeling like it's pulling her back. I'm like, Elisa, you're getting possessed. Stop it.
She pulled the car over because she couldn't keep driving. And
I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
I'm like, okay, I mean, we can go back if you want.
No. And she just sat there. She was like, I cannot physically drive right now. I'm like, well, move over because I can't.
Yeah.
So anyway, I told her the only way I would go back is if these two friends of ours, Doug and Tammy, would go back with us. So we went on our way. Finally got her to drive. We went to investigate another place that we had heard about, this abandoned church.
Which we couldn't find.
But we found another church that felt really funky. And
they kept coming back to it. It's like we kept trying to like find the other place, the correct place.
Yeah.
But we kept coming back to this one eerie church.
And it was weird because when we were there, I got extremely dizzy. Rachel got a headache. And Elisa had she felt like she couldn't breathe. It was like anxiety in her chest, which she has asthma, so it could have been that. But it was just weird that it hit all of us at the same time. Mm-hmm. So meanwhile, Doug and Tammy get back to us. And Elisa's like, hey, could you meet us out there at Hell's Church? And I'm like, wow. So
really, I honestly didn't think they would because it was late.
It was like 11:30 at this point.
Was it that late?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Or 11-ish.
Yeah.
So they're like, yeah, we're down. Good old Doug and Tam Tam. That's Rachel.
I love Tam Tam.
So we drive back over there, and Doug was really afraid that the police were going to be there. So we had to park down near the freaking baptismal pool.
Yeah, by the gate.
That I didn't want to be near. And we got out, and we're just kind of walking around. It still felt weird to me. I could sense a couple of presences, but it wasn't that big a deal. And there were all these whippoorwills, which I don't know if y'all know what those are.
Wait.
Nope.
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. They say their name. That's their whistle. Whippoorwill.
Okay.
Oh my God. Can you tell she's not from Georgia?
And clearly I can't whistle. What's happening?
Yeah. So they were completely circling the church and everything in the woods.
It's a wooded area.
Yeah.
This
and they were
place
very loud.
is at the end of a really long road in the middle of nowhere. Yes.
Yeah. So we're hearing the whippoorwills. It feels normal. It's like, okay, whatever. So we walk over to the pavilion, and we're kind of talking about the tree line and how Rachel was chaotic and ran into it and everything. We're trying to hear the music. Nothing's really happening. So we all agreed that the woods felt really dark. And then that's when Doug tells us, oh, that's where they hung the animal sacrifices in the trees.
And then
cool.
Elisa and you guys had said something felt dark.
It felt like you know how when you look at a dark place and you can see things moving, but you can't really verify what it is. It just looks like shadows moving. That's how it looked.
Yeah, so we decided to go check it out.
No, we went back to the lighted part in between, and you left me and Tammy there.
Oh.
And then y'all went to the back of the cemetery where there were children's graves where people had sacrificed.
Yeah, Doug goes, just, back there, that stuff happens back there. And Elisa and I are like, okay, let's go.
What stuff?
Let's check it out.
I'm down.
But that's the thing though. If I'm going to go to a place that has activity, I want to go to where the activity is because I'm very curious about it. I also don't really get scared with paranormal things anymore because I'm so desensitized and I want to experience it. I'm so fascinated by it that I want to experience it.
And when she gets possessed, guess who has to get her ass out of that? So anyway, I stay in the lit part with Tammy. We're just kind of chit-chatting, talking about, things that she's seen there. And Doug and Elisa and Rachel are over in the back part of the graves. And all of a sudden, down near the baptismal pool, Tammy and I hear a, and then,
can I get a, oh yeah?
Shut up. And then a big old branch breaks, like it's coming towards us. So we start backing up. We're screaming for Doug. He comes back over. He's supposed to be like the ghost whisperer, okay? She basically made him out to be this man that if a ghost is nearby, it just runs away from him. So I'm like, okay, he's my human shield, right? Doug is going to be my human shield. So we tell him, hey, this happened over here. So he kind of goes down toward the baptismal pool gate, and Elisa and Rachel are going, and I'm like, hey guys, remember, y'all have kids that you need to take care of. So that made them feel guilty enough that they came back.
And Doug walks, he had his hand on his hip, was ready to go.
He has a gun.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I didn't know if I should say it. So he was ready.
And he walked up to that gate, and as he told us later, he said, show yourself. Mm-hmm. And nothing happened, and he goes, that's what I thought.
Oh, Doug.
Which I think that spirit was like, bet.
Bet.
So Doug comes back, and we're just kind of standing by our cars, just talking about some things, because I can start to feel some things popping up around us. It felt like there was a spirit of a witch over to the right toward where the animal sacrifices had been. And then I had felt something toward the back of the cemetery where they had checked out the children's graves, but I wasn't sure what it was. Then I could feel something very bad down by where Doug had just said, I thought so.
Bitch, come out.
Yeah. And so we're standing there, and all of a sudden, was it Rachel or was
Elisa first?
It was Elisa first.
Yeah.
Okay. Elisa goes, oh, look, do you see that face? And I'm going to need you to tell that part because I didn't see this.
Yeah.
I couldn't see it.
So when she said that, I had thought I'd seen something, but I was like, nah. Like, no.
Yeah.
I'm sure no, because I've never seen anything before.
Yeah.
So she said it and then kind of like left it for a little while, and we were talking, and then her attention would go right back to where that tree was. And it was like right past the gate where the clearing was. To the left, there was a tree. And that's where I was seeing something too. And so she's like, no, there's like, and I'm like, a face. And she's like, yeah, a face. And then it kept kind of like peeking out and then like peeking back, like, going back in behind the tree. And it wasn't a body. It was just like a light face. Okay. Couldn't see expressions, could kind of see where features would possibly be. I also have really, really bad eyesight. So like all I could see was something peeking out and then going back in. Okay.
And they're like, oh, it's curious, but I can feel this bitch. It's taunting you guys.
It didn't feel great, but I also was so intrigued, because that's what I want. I want to experience something. I want to see something. So anyway, so it was kind of like that was happening for a while. We could see the face come in and out.
Yeah, they're just like standing there watching it peek in and out, peek in and out. And I'm sitting there going, guys, this doesn't feel good. And then all of a sudden, Rachel didn't hear it, but me, Elisa, and Tammy hear a low, like, demonic growl. Oh, yeah? No, it was bad. It was like right in front of us. It was like right beyond the end of our cars. And we all started backing up going, nope, nope,
No,
nope.
but we saw the lights too.
You
remember the
guys
lights?
did. I never saw them.
Which Elisa, me, and Doug, which she admitted later, saw like it looked like it could have been a car light, like just one single.
There was nothing back there.
But there's no
though.
road back there.
Yeah.
So it was like a light, and then it would
So
kind
an
of like
orb.
close and fade out, and then it would like open, come back, open, and then close and fade out. And that happened, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 times.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
And
So-
then as soon as it growled, it felt like, so I had about 3 spirits on my radar at that time. It felt like 10 popped up and started closing in. And I was like, guys, I feel like they're closing in. And Tammy confirmed. She was like, yeah, it's closing in around here. And you'll see like on paranormal shows, they'll talk about when it feels like a space is closing in, like the shadows just kind of come in.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. I was like, we have to go now. We have to leave now. And it was just like the most urgent feeling I think I've ever felt. So we all jumped in the car, took off like bats out of hell. And apparently Doug and Tammy were just like super intrigued because I think they had like some kind of voice recording thing on their phone.
Ghost app that
Some kind of
was
something.
recording. Yeah.
And they just recorded like the quiet and then played it back, and they heard tons of branches breaking.
I think we should go back. With Tammy and Doug. Tam and Doug.
You're just like a glutton for punishment.
I want to see things. Anyway.
So anyway, that is our personal experience with a haunted place. And yeah, I probably need to anoint my house now. But we're going to talk about 2 other haunted places that we researched.
Yep.
So do you want to start?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, so I recently went to Glacier National Park. You know how like people have random hobbies or like things about them that become part of their personality?
Oh yeah.
Like what's it called? Weightlifters or CrossFit people. Like
Yes.
that is like part of their personality.
Yeah.
I think the fact that I love Glacier National Park and Montana so much has become part of my personality.
Well, you felt closer to Bigfoot than ever, so I'm sure that had to do with it.
Oh my God. Things about Bigfoot were everywhere up there. But anyway, Glacier National Park was the most beautiful place I have ever been to in my entire life. I want to move there. Kayla doesn't want me to, but I'm so sorry. I would. If I got the opportunity, I would be out. Anyway, but I've recently come across a lot of stories about people getting lost or take in, or like paranormal things happening in nature and in like the national parks. So
yes, I've heard about these too.
Yeah. A TikTok has been my
Yeah.
my method
There's all
of
kinds of
research
gems
there.
on TikTok.
So I was like, what creepy natural place can I talk about? And the Pine Barrens kept popping up in my research. And it's in New Jersey. I've touched on it before because that's the home of Mothman. So,
okay.
Yeah. So I have that's his first home. Like, people see him all over now, but the Pine Barrens is known for Mothman.
Okay.
So again, he's part of this a little bit, but I'm focusing just on the Pine Barrens in general. So, okay. Most of this research is from onlyinyourstate.com, focusing on New Jersey. And they say that it's one of the most haunted places in the country. It spans over 1.1 million acres of preserved woodlands spanning 7 counties. The land is mostly rural and dotted with ruins of former mill and mining settlements. And along with an incredible assortment of ghost towns, this heavily forested stretch of the state is also known for its abundance of ghosts.
Nice.
So, a little history. In 1978, Congress designated the 1.1 million acres of coastal plain in southern New Jersey to be protected as part of the Pinelands National Reserve. This was America's first national reserve, established to protect the unique ecology of the region. However, the history of the Pine Barrens dates back much further than 1978. The Lenape Indians, so sorry if I butchered that, first inhabited the area around 1200 AD, and European settlements began springing up along the Mullica River by 1694. The iron industry brought jobs and wealth to the Pine Barrens, with New Jersey producing much of the iron used in the Revolutionary War and War of 1812. So this area was abandoned in, I don't remember when, but when they discovered coal was in Pennsylvania, many area residents headed west. So communities were abandoned overnight, leaving behind more ghost towns than any other state in the U.S. So the Pine Barrens has a lot of old buildings, like creepy old warehouses where like mines and stuff, like
so like the typical place that ghosts would
just want to hang. Yeah. So the Jersey Devil, again, is part of this area, and the Jersey Devil is probably the most famous paranormal Pine Barrens resident. Legend says that the demonic creature was the 13th child of Deborah Leeds, born in 1735, the literal spawn of Satan. This creepy cryptid is said to have wings and hooves. I'm not going to go into that too much because, again, I explained all of that in our previous season 1 episode. But I will say the most famous incidents of panic over the Jersey Devil occurred in 1909, the month of January, and hundreds of sightings were reported, along with attacks in Haddon Heights and Camden. Newspaper coverage led to widespread hysteria, and a $10,000 bounty was put on the creature's head, and schools were even closed for a short time.
What?
Yeah, I know. Additional haunts of the Pine Barrens. So, of course, the Jersey Devil is only just the start. The ghost of a small boy is said to haunt the Atco area, and he was the victim of a hit and run. He roams Burnt Mill Road, still searching for his killer. If you drive down the road at night and turn off your lights, you may just see a boy running for his ball. However, I wouldn't recommend turning your lights off on a dark road unless you're looking to be the next Pine Barrens ghost. Another spirit said to roam the Pine Barrens is the ghost of James Still. He is an African-American doctor during the time of slavery, and legend says that he was lynched when locals found that he was practicing medicine. Aww. Some say he died of natural causes, but most believe he is a friendly ghost, assisting those lost or injured in the area.
Oh, that's nice.
I know. Other ghosts include a blonde woman, white stag, black dog, and the headless spirit of the infamous pirate Captain Kidd. Of course, with the milling industry being incredibly dangerous, many spirits of maimed workers may linger on as well.
Okay.
So the Pine Barrens also has what are called blue holes. And depending on who you ask, New Jersey may have one blue hole or many. And some say that the only blue hole is located in Winslow, the infamous hideout of the Jersey Devil. Others refer to all of the crystalline turquoise lakes in the Pine Barrens as blue holes. One of the most popular can be found in Millville, and this beautiful body of water is located off Schooner Landing Road, and it is not a natural phenomenon. The blue holes in the Pine Barrens are sand pits, remnants of abandoned mines that have since filled with water. Industrial waste lines the bottom, and their blue hue is created by an abundance of sulfur. Visitors are lured by the vibrant colors, sandy shores, seclusion, and spectacular natural surroundings. However, they're very deadly, and many have died in the blue holes.
Are they deadly because it's full of sulfur?
They're deadly because just feet from the water's edge, the pits reach up to like 100 feet deep, and the drop is sharp. So you can go from a few feet of water to an abyss in seconds. And I guess the temperature also suddenly drops with the deep waters, causing shock, and drownings happen often.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
That's crazy.
Okay, so I wanted to mainly have my haunted location be firsthand encounters because, again, I find that those are the most intriguing. All right, so most of these stories are from Reddit, of course. They're true stories, but the first one comes from Flan and Light. About 3 years ago, they wrote this, and they say, back in the mid-'80s, there were 4 of us out in the pines one night. I guess it was maybe 11 or 11:30. A few hours earlier, we'd driven down this long, unmaintained dirt road, parked in the middle of nowhere, and we were just kind of hanging out, walking around, talking and stuff. We're not particularly loud, but it's pretty quiet except for us. I happened to glance down the road the way we came, and there's a pair of headlights coming down the track towards us, but there's no sound of an engine. It's moving too fast for a walker and too slowly for a runner, and the ground's too soft and muddy for a bike. And they're definitely headlights, not dry/ball lighting. I don't know what that means. Oh, well.
Dry ball?
They're not dry balls. They're not
Is
fireflies.
that like something up north?
I don't know. Or anything else. A half second after I spot the whatever it is, everyone starts staring down the track. The woods are absolutely quiet. The headlights are getting nearer and nearer. And my nerve breaks, and I bolt away from the middle of the road and dive behind a convenient bush. And all my friends immediately behind me. We peer through the leaves, waiting for the car to pass. It doesn't. The headlights turn left and disappear. The thing is, there aren't any turnoffs. We gave it a few minutes and checked down the road. There was very definitely no place for it to turn off. And there were no tire tracks over ours, and there was no sound of a car anywhere. We were all pretty spooked and piled into our car and got out of there. We talked it over on and off over the years, and we've all agreed that we definitely saw a car, and the car that we saw definitely didn't exist.
That reminded me when you said everything was super quiet. Mm-hmm. The whole reason I went on and on about the whippoorwills.
Oh, yeah.
Was because as soon as it turned midnight, which is supposedly when shit starts happening at Hell's Church, they just stopped.
They did.
They weren't making any more noise.
That's true.
So it's like whenever there's paranormal activity around, everything else is like, oh, God.
Nature's like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Okay. This is from Superstar Skippy. Reddit names always they just get me.
Yeah.
They lighten the mood.
They
if
do.
Anything else.
They do.
Okay. Back in 2008, I decided, mid-February, to drive down Piney Hollow Road in Winslow because the blue hole was supposed to be located off that road. I was getting ready to move out of the state, and I wanted to do something related to the Jersey Devil, since that's where he was supposedly living, along with other strange things. So I turned off onto a dirt road, and I was driving down a little, but stopped because I knew that they say that you can only drive so far, and I didn't want my car getting stuck. Dumb me was by myself. No, don't do that. So I'm sitting there with the windows down, smoking a cigarette, just trying to figure out a game plan, and out of the corner of my eye, to the left of the car, I saw something huge. It was like taller than my car, went by real fast into the woods.
Nope.
Now I know I saw something, so I started looking around.
Why? You get in your car and you leave.
No, they're like me. They want to sit. Mind you, I don't hear anything. No wind through the trees rustling, no bushes, no animals, no birds. You could hear a pin drop. That's how quiet it was. So I'm about to get out of my car when I hear this deep voice say, "Get out." It was right next to my ear, as if someone was leaning in the driver's side door, and it said it right there. No one was around. I looked, and I would have seen someone come up to the car. I looked, and I would have seen someone come up to the car. Then I hear scratching sounds on the top of my car, and I hear a much louder yelling say, "Get out!" I somehow managed to turn my car around.
It's like, did I stutter?
Did I stutter? And I hightailed it out of there. I moved back to New Jersey years later, and I haven't been back. Scared the crap out of me. Okay. My last story comes from S2E2, and it is entitled New Jersey Pine Barrens. I'm local to the South Jersey area, Pine Barrens and all. I hunt and I fish on the regular, and my house is in the woods, so I'm used to the sounds and things that regularly happen around New Jersey. I've had two experiences that I could never grasp an explanation for and still give me the chills. The first one, it was a cold 6-day firearm season, and it was opening day. I set my stand up in a new spot a little bit further than my previous year. I'm following my reflectors to get to my stand, and it's pitch black and cold. I'm saying -4 with the wind. Not common in New Jersey, so it's already eerie as I'm walking through the pines. And I get to about 25 yards from my tree, and I stop and light a cigarette before I go up. As I'm standing there a mile deep in the Pine Barrens, alone in the dark, I hear a grunt. Not a deer grunt. I'm saying a full-blown snarl, and it stops and goes on for a minute or two, and at this point, my shotgun is stacked to the rim, 3 rounds, and I'm looking towards the noise. It charges me and gets about 10 yards out, and I notice, and I shoot once, hitting to the left of it. This sent it off into the darkness, so I figured, get in your tree now. So I booked it. I'd say 10 yards away from my tree, and I'd get charged again, this time from the back, thrusting me to the ground. And I went face down in delusion, and whatever it was hit me and kept going. I stayed in my tree until 10 a.m. when it was bright out. My only description of what the thing could be would be a hog mixed with a goat. It was terrifying. By the way, we don't have wild boar. Okay, that's terrifying. Now, second, I fish the Great Egg Harbor River regularly, especially striper fishing, which just so happens to land in the fall, which is cold. I walk a trail that used to go to an old shipbuilder manufacturer on the river. I fish the old structure because bass love structure. However, there is still a remaining building that is standing. Not bad until you go in. So one day, me and a friend of mine are going to catch the outgoing tide, and we loaded the truck, drove to the trail, and hiked it about a mile. We get down and set up, nice nor'easter off the coast, so the conditions are perfect. However, about an hour into some good fishing, the rain came. And if you live in the Northeast, you know a nor'easter. When it rains, it pours. So we packed our stuff and headed for the building. Once inside, we set our stuff down and figured, fuck it, let's chill for a bit and explore the rooms. Bad idea in a nor'easter, but shit gets creepy. So we walk up to the second floor where there was a line of rooms on the right and a balcony to the left looking over the building. As we approached the first floor, my friend felt fucked up, like he didn't want to go anymore, and immediately turned around with a big nope. I like exploring shit, so I kept on.
This sounds like somebody I know.
Yes, it's you and me. I checked the first room and nothing spectacular. So I keep walking, checking the rooms one by one, and I get to the second to the last one, and I get this weird sensation in my body, almost like I received the worst news of my life, and I broke down. I mean, I literally broke down to shit. Once I got it together, I boogied down the stairs where I found that my friend had left and headed for the truck already, leaving all of his fishing shit. So I grabbed up everything and ran out, but I had to run back to grab my rod holder that I was using as a bum defense. And as I looked up to the second-story window from the end, I saw a child standing in the window. Scariest shit I've ever encountered, and I'll never go fishing there again.
That sounds terrible. Oh, man. Okay. Well, my haunted place, unfortunately, it's a very popular, pretty well-known place, and it has been owned and kind of closed to the public for the past 40-something years. So there's not a lot of firsthand paranormal encounters except from like paranormal investigation teams. So keep that in mind. But I think it's really interesting. So I decided to look into the Ancient Rams Inn. This is the oldest building in this place called Wotton Under Edge. It's an English town near Bristol, so it's over the pond for us. It was built in 1145, so it's really old.
Yeah.
And the land that it was built on was actually a pagan burial ground,
Of course.
for 5,000 years prior.
Sure.
So on top of that, so it's the pagan burial ground, oldest building in the area, and they think that it's built on top of ley lines. Do you know what ley lines are?
No.
Okay, so ley lines are these alignments drawn between various historic structures and prominent landmarks. The idea was developed in 20th century Europe. They believe that these alignments kind of convey earth energies along them. So it's like connected to Stonehenge. That's what I'm trying to say. So Stonehenge, the line goes from Stonehenge to the ancient Ram's Inn. And they think that it's like some kind of traveling thing for energy.
Okay.
Like
a current.
Kind of, yes. So these ley lines kind of go all across the maps, and they just mysteriously connect big magical places to other areas that seem to have activity.
Who put them in?
Nobody put them in. They're built into the earth. But since the 1960s, members of the Earth Mysteries movement and other esoteric traditions have commonly believed that these lines demarcate earth energies and serve as guides for alien spacecraft. So take it or leave it. It's up to you. But it seems to have made this place a hub. Okay. So the building was originally created as a home for slaves and masons who were building a nearby church called Mary's Church. There were many streams through this area, and they had to be diverted to build it. And a lot of people think that maybe that opened a portal for like the pagan dark energy to come up, I guess. After the slaves and masons moved out, a priest lived there. He may or may not have hung himself. I can't remember. But then a man named John Humphreys bought the inn in 1968. He had no idea that it had any paranormal background. And he had planned to open it up into a bed and breakfast.
Of course.
But then shit started happening. And he and his wife and his girls lived there. I think he may have had some sons too. But basically his wife was like, it's me or the inn. And he picked the inn.
Oh.
And so she left with the kids. And he lived there until he died in, I believe, 2017. So I don't know why. He basically stayed there. His excuse was to preserve the inn so it wouldn't get demolished. Part of me thinks maybe it should have been.
And that was more important than
his marriage, apparently.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so when he tried to make it into a bed and breakfast, guests would quickly check in and check right back out because they were having these terrifying experiences. Each room in this place has something unique happening in it. So beyond that, the decor is terrifying. It's borderline hoarding at this point if you look at the place. In the first room that you walk in, there's a mummified cat that was found in the walls. So he was just taking apart the walls and found this dead cat. It's believed to be like 500 years old.
Oh my God.
Now, that could have been a good sign, though, because cat carcasses were commonly hidden in walls to bring luck and protection.
Really?
Yes, apparently.
Interesting.
But then he has like a lot of other things hanging from the ceiling. They're super creepy. There's a stuffed crow. And for whatever reason, whenever you're near it, it's like it turns to follow you. It's like hanging from a string. Super creepy. Then there's like this witchy character hanging down that just looks super creepy. It's very weird.
Was it decorated like this at the time of the bed and breakfast?
I don't know, but it was like, so when I watched the Ghost Adventures episode because I wanted to see if there was any history on it that I had missed.
Sure.
And he was like 80-something-year-old, still living there, and he just sleeps on a sofa in this one room. And everything else, it's like, I don't know how you move in this place. Like, it's just
It reminds me of Raven's Grin, like the place that I went way back in the day where I
You can listen to that episode in season 1.
Season 1.
Yeah. That's kind of what it was. But it's like a hoarder's dream. So the first night that John Humphrey stayed there, he claimed that he met some of the entities who haunted the place. So the first one is that a demonic force grabbed him by his arm, dragged him across the room from his bed. And since that time, he's actually found evidence of ritual sacrifices and devil worship on the inn's grounds. So he found inside the walls, he had to like replace a wall because it was deteriorating. I mean, the thing is freaking old. He found children's bones and daggers in the wall.
Oh.
So they're like, okay, clearly devil worship here. Okay, so the other entities that he has met. There is the witch. She's probably the most famous one. She was a witch who was burned at the stake nearby in the 1500s. She tried to run and hide in one of the rooms in the inn, but was discovered and still burnt at the stake. So the room where she hid is dubbed the witch's room, and her spirit haunts it to this day. Not real sure what she does. I couldn't find much information on it, but she's not nice. That's what I know.
Okay.
She appears to people, I think, and attacks them. I'm not sure. There's also stories of the former innkeeper's daughter who was hanged in the attic. The spirits, of course, of the ritually murdered children. There have been 10 people in one of these rooms that had been possessed by demons and had to be exorcised at the church down the street. And a lot of other things have happened over the years. There's orbs. Orbs of the spirits have been photographed. When you open the doors to these rooms, you'll just see like orbs flying everywhere. And strange lights have terrified visitors who have gone in there. Then there's the bishop's room. It's supposedly the most haunted. There were some bishops who used to stay there in the past, and it's supposedly haunted by them. There's also a Roman centurion. So these guys, these plumbers, were just in here taking care of the walls, getting things ready, and this Roman centurion just rides through the middle of the room at them. And they were like, what the heck? There's reports, not rumors. There's reports of furniture flying about the room on its own. One time a medium was thrown down the corridor when she was attempting to open the door to this room. So now John Humphreys, if he takes you to it, he knocks on the door 3 times first. And it's like asking permission to get into this room. There's reports of a young woman hanging from the ceiling beams, a shepherd with his dog, which seems nice.
Seems sweet.
Yeah. And then the disembodied screams of a man who at some point supposedly was killed by having his head thrust into the fireplace. So,
okay. All right.
Yeah. Those who spent the night there would sometimes tell of a presence that climbed into bed alongside them before pinning them down and interfering with them. Which brings me to the Incubus.
Oh, that's where you're going with that.
Yeah, so there is an incubus or succubus or whatever these things are that haunts the room that John Humphreys sleeps in.
That's why he wants to stay.
Right? Seems a little odd, doesn't
it's
it?
all coming together.
So
Okay.
it's specifically the room that he's in.
Of course.
He's been attacked by the saint.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
And I said, maybe that's why John stayed, ...
Right?
He said, when speaking about the sex demons, people have said what's in this building is so evil that it cannot be exorcised from it. Certain people can call down the sex demon whenever they want. Now those people must be weird fuckers.
That's what he said?
He said it. So I'm like, are you sure that wasn't you, sir? So then,
you who threw away your entire life to stay in this eerie thing that you can't profit on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just makes you wonder. So then there was a paranormal group. These guys cracked me up. I'll try to link the video. How did this get lower? I'll try to link the video in the show notes because it was actually really funny. But it was a black guy and a white guy. And of course the black guy was like, dude, I'm getting out of here, you know, and the white guy's like, I'm curious. So they go into this place and they investigated the end of the room where John slept. And beside it, it had a chair with a Bible on it. And John had talked about how he always kept the Bible there because if the succubus incubus started to attack him, he would hold the Bible up and say, Lord, it's here again. Get rid of it. Okay, so the chair with the Bible, right? These guys had come in. They had sage on them. They had holy water, all of this stuff. And they're talking about like where they're going to set their equipment up. And they were debating about putting a vial of holy water on the chair to protect them from the sex demon that's known for raping people in there. And the white guy or the black guy was like, where are we putting this holy water? And the white guy's like, in the chair. And the black guy goes, and what's the water going to do? Stop the incuman from having sex with me? That's not going to do nothing. He's just going to use it as lube. I was laughing so hard. So anyway, that's the incubus room. That's where John sleeps. It looks like the most uncomfortable place in the world. I don't know what possessed him. Well, I don't know what possessed him to stay there. But anyway, then there's the men's kitchen. The main attraction of the men's kitchen is the ancient grave. In June 1997, a local ghost hunting group were given permission to tear up parts of the concrete floor while searching for the entrance to a sealed cellar. Instead, they found a grave containing the remains of a woman and a child buried along with broken iron shards.
Wait, in the floor?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's dead people on the floor,
Dead people in the walls.
dead kids in the walls, and
Yes.
a dead cat in the walls.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Lots of things buried in here.
Love it.
The pieces were analyzed by the Bristol Museum, who conceded that the signs may point to ritual sacrifice using an iron dagger again. The ghost hunters, meanwhile, suffered a car crash on their way back home. Of course, we don't know if it was connected, but it was
Wait, are they
funky.
okay?
Yeah, they're okay.
Oh, okay.
But it's funky. Okay, so then there's the Mayflower Barn. On the ground floor, close by the roadside, a large, undeveloped space of the ancient ram is formed of the former. So it's like this extra undeveloped area that's kind of like a seating area tied onto the ancient ram. When the television program Most Haunted visited the ancient ram, the team's resident spirit medium, Derek, was possessed by an entity that told the team to visit the barn. And in this space, one presenter was allegedly set upon by an invisible force that threw him to the floor before beating and kicking him. So again, I don't have a lot of like first-hand encounters except for paranormal investigation groups.
Yeah.
So that was one.
I mean, it's probably best that people can't go in there freely.
Yeah, I know. I mean, there's just so much going on in there. I did watch a YouTuber who had done like a little investigation of it. He didn't seem to see very much, but it was daytime and he's with John Humphreys the whole time. So I don't know.
John's their buddy.
Right? So then the Weaver's attic is the last place. Humphrey's daughter slept here with her partner once, and they heard something heavy being dragged across the floor. According to some, the Weaver's attic is haunted by the ghost of the innkeeper's daughter, murdered here in the loft sometime in the 1500s and named by one visiting medium as Elizabeth. So,
Okay.
a lot of ghosts. There's a witch,
Dang, man.
bunch of people killed in this place, on the Ley Lines, on pagan burial grounds.
It's got a lot
And they think a
going
portal
on.
opened up.
Yeah.
So it's a hefty boy.
Okay, well, this that it brings me to a thought. Okay, that I've had marinating for a while.
Okay.
Would you be up for maybe finding a local haunted bed and breakfast or something? Or in Chattanooga, I was there yesterday. They have a hotel that was closed to the public for a long time, but they have reopened it, and there's this one room that's supposedly like super haunted, and it costs $666 to rent it. But if we could muster up the money, we should totally do it.
Did they pick that number for
Yes.
a reason?
Yes, they did.
Why would you charge that much
I
for
don't
one
know.
room?
Okay, so maybe not that place specifically, because again, that half a
Are
grand.
you thinking like record an episode there?
Yeah. Or like just see if we have any experiences for like a next listener story
I mean, sure.
or haunted places story. Okay.
Sure. I feel like this stuff's going to find me regardless because I'm sensitive. So
We'll have Elisa come along.
she's
She
just
can
like the
suffer
bait.
with us. Yeah. Aw, well, okay, cool.
All right.
2 episodes under our belt.
That's nice. Hopefully this was a good one. We don't know how it's going to wind up.
This one was a little struggle.
Yeah.
But
Reading's hard.
it is hard to read, and we're still getting back into the swing of things.
Yes. But you know what? It's so nice to be back here with you
Yes.
doing this.
Indeed, across from each other.
Yes.
On a table that's especially designated for podcasting.
Yes.
Before we would have to record in it was my old guest room / office, and so we would have to like set up and then take it down every morning.
Her husband
afterwards.
hated us.
I know, because it was at his desk. But it's nice to have our own little space here.
Yeah, so we got like a little Knights of the Round Table situation going on, and I've got candles and skulls, and the ambiance is here.
It's perfect.
Yes.
All
All right,
right,
guys.
friends.
Well, we hope those places weren't too spooky for you.
Yes.
Let us know if you've ever been to a place like that.
Give us ideas for the next Haunted Places episode, and
Yes.
good luck sleeping.
Good luck sleeping.